Okay, it's 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. So I am gonna call the meeting to order. Do we need to, we don't need to take roll call, do we?
No.
Okay, so we're not gonna do a roll call. So this is the CFA ID meeting with the Board of Directors. So Kenny, I am gonna turn it over to you and Russell and Bob Zenda.
Okay.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the International Division meeting. It is unfortunate with the time disparity due to the necessary planning of the virtual annual. We couldn't accommodate a more reasonable time for the areas that we'll be speaking about. Due to COVID restrictions, which not only affected us, but certainly the International Division and still does, we had a truncated year. Fortunately, due to the pre-planning of the T1 program, we had the opportunity to keep CFA relevant in the areas that we're able to have exhibitions and events. What we did over the last 2 years, we placed an emphasis on using our representatives on the ground to keep CFA alive and well. And I hope you join me in congratulating those efforts. They've really worked hard, not only keeping CFA relevant and keeping our income at pretty much an acceptable level due to increased competition, but it's all without compensation. So they are really showing the love that we all share for the association. Basically, they're still learning. They're learning the ropes, particularly of reporting. And I apologize on their behalf for late reports and information to keep our board up to date. I'm sure that hopefully things will get better in the future, but there is limited information, and this is why I wanted to get Russell and certainly Bob for those 2 areas. I can start out with my particular area, which is the Middle East, AWA CSA, which is Asia, West Africa, Central and South America. We've had very few registrations in Central and South America. They have been faced with even more of a situation with COVID. India, where we were planning on going in pre-COVID with a bang, particularly with the use of I can't remember what it is now, the Kathy Black's program, that has been put on hold. They're really probably suffering right now more than anyone else is from COVID. And as far as the Middle East is concerned, they're pretty much on lockdown. When I first started with the International Division, we had 1 club in the Middle East. I concentrated on getting more clubs. We were up to 15 at one point. I think we had to drop 1 this year, but they're still very active. I do think that we need more representation from them, since we are a club-based organization. I don't think that we should really put that much of a restriction on forming clubs, because there is a lot of interest over there, particularly in mainland China and other areas in which Bob is in charge of. I think it's very important that we keep a positive attitude with these people, a welcoming attitude, and perhaps give them in the future more of a voice in our association. But that is certainly up to the board and our complete group of people that are associated with us. So basically, I want to thank the board for their ongoing support of the International Division. We've already had 1 clerking school. We're planning on other events that are going to enhance the International Division in China and in other parts of Southeast Asia. We have 1 master clerk now in the Middle East, and I'm certainly planning on having something there as far as the clerking school as well. We've already had 1 at a show in Egypt. So again, I'd want to call on now the 2 ID chairs, Mr. Webb and Mr. Zenda, to give a report on their areas, and we're certainly open to Q&As once those reports are done. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I asked Dick Calamaya to come on to show us some statistics going on in China and ID other. I think Aline is going to promote him, Daryl.
He's gonna stay on for a year.
I don't have that information yet
What is
from Dick Kallmeyer. I have no charts to show. Russell was just saying I was going to provide some information. I don't have it yet from Dick Kallmeyer.
Russell, are you talking about the ones that he sent out to the board members? He sent some just statistical data
Yes,
to the board members. Is that what you're wanting up to display?
yes, yes. If I mean, we can wait. I can just review the progress we made in China, which the board members got with establishing our NGO licenses in the 4 districts.
Russell, why don't you give a synopsis of it? Apparently Dick didn't want the actual numbers and stuff posted.
Okay, all right.
Because as you know, that you can do screenshots on these video conferences, and usually there's some information that's a little bit confidential, and so we percentages you might want to say up or down. That's okay, but actual numbers we probably don't want to share that.
Okay, so well, I mean, China was down a little bit, and ID other was up a little bit on certain things, but I thought he wanted to talk on that. But is he on the call? Or
Not yet.
okay,
Dick.
all right.
No.
Okay, so I'll go ahead, with my little report, which you guys have with the progress that we're continuing in China with the NGO licenses, and we do have more local clubs applying for these NGO licenses. We conducted education in entry clerk training with Gavin. We now have 5 central entry clerks, and they're producing the entries, which we have very few problems with. We did put in a policy for assigning club show dates and amongst Chinese to minimize conflicts with weekends, because we have a number of new clubs applying for shows. We also have show package delivery now processed for China. This experiences the CFA customers and to improve show production, cost, and efficiency. We are actually, I was talking to Bob, we are actually trying to plan a banquet in China in October. Gavin and Eva are working on this. And hopefully in October, some of us can go over there and participate with the banquet. There's marketing also going on in China. We have really support from CFA for the NGO filings. The board's been very good, giving us leeway on production of shows. And that's about it for me. Gavin and Eva are going to work on the banquet. I think they're looking at to do it in Chapchang, China in October. They were going to do it in August, and I asked them to extend it to October to see if maybe some of us could go over there and participate with them.
Okay. Any board members have any questions for Russell? No? Okay. Kenny, back to you.
Okay. Thank you, Russell. So no questions. Are there any questions from any of our people? Can we take questions, Daryl? Is this the way?
Well, why don't you let Bob Zenda give his report?
Yeah.
All right, Bob, you're on.
Okay, hey, thank you, Kenny, and thank you, members of the board. Aileen asked me to publicize the fact that we're having this meeting, and I did put a memo out strongly encouraging to take a look and find out what their board is doing for the international division to all the clubs. The response was less than enthusiastic, as you can imagine. You know, I had people from Thailand complaining it was it was 2 o'clock in the morning and it's 3 o'clock in the morning in Hong Kong, et cetera. But we did get a little bit of feedback, and hopefully some of them will be able to join us. Now, unfortunately, throughout the Asia portion of the international division, except China, no one's permitted to enter any of those countries. So the only shows that can be held are in those countries where we already have judges, and that's only 2. Well, it's 3, including China, but Thailand has 2 judges, as you're aware, and we have 3 in Hong Kong. So the Siam cat fanciers did take advantage of the opportunity, and they had a successful show on April 11th with Alan and Douglas judging, and I sent a report to the newsletter about that one. You may have seen that. And except for the one show in Hong Kong in November of 2020, all shows there were deferred because of the COVID situation. However, the Hong Kong Pet Show in 2021 was granted a license to proceed, and Phoebe Lowe, who we count on for a lot of things in Hong Kong, took advantage of it. And the Hong Kong Black Cat Club sponsored an event called the Cat Olympics, which was an agility event in a facility that was designed like a kindergarten. It was extremely successful. They had 31 cats that participated, most of them not having the foggiest idea how to get through any of the barriers, et cetera, because they'd never seen it before. She reports that it was a great opportunity to reconnect with fanciers and to keep CFA on the minds of some of the exhibitors. And she's asked that Jill provide her some information on how they can get a ringmaster there in Hong Kong, because this was so very, very popular. Now, since the Hong Kong gave permission for the pet thing, Andy Young jumped right on it, and he's got 3 shows scheduled, one on the 26th of June and a couple in July. They're both 2-ring super specialty shows. It's still iffy in Hong Kong about when and if they can hold shows, but they're going to take advantage of any opportunity they can. And some of the feedback that they provided through Matthew, thank you, was that they really hope that they can be a part of or participate in a T3 program that continues to go on, as well as South Korea. Both of those countries are extremely keen. Of course, there are no judges in Korea. And speaking of Korea, I've appointed Jinsun Choi as the new Korea liaison who replaces Yeiko Takano. I communicated with her, and she told me she hadn't been active in that capacity for many, many years, and she has no problem with this decision. Jinsun is very well qualified, and she's highly recommended by Matthew and Suki, and she's been serving as the South Korea liaison, or the country contact, for some time. Until the pandemic, her club, the Cat Fanciers of Korea, which I've judged for, was sponsoring 2 or 3 CFA shows each year. She hosted several CFA clerking schools, which produced 6 certified ring clerks, including the first master clerk in South Korea. And her cattery was the first in South Korea to earn a CFA Cattery of Distinction Award. Other than that, I think that's about all the updates that I can provide. Oh, I did need to mention that I really appreciate the talent of Teresa. Everything I send to her for the newsletter about what's going on in Asia, she puts together beautifully to appear. And you may have seen the one that we got this last week. A beautiful job. And James, thanks very much for sending me that list of DWs. I had no idea who they were until this morning. And so I know that Amber will work on getting those certificates out, and then we'll get those out to Suki and Matthew in Hong Kong for further distribution.
No problem.
Thanks very much. And that's all I have to report, unless you have some questions.
Okay. Questions, anyone? Matt Mom?
Hi, hey, thanks. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, Russell. I just want to add, as Bob said, yeah, we're planning to hold some shows in Hong Kong. And since there are only 3 judges in Hong Kong, and also we think even with some effort, the number of shows we can have in these show seasons will still be less than normal. So the chance of getting DW is quite low. And even trying to get cats grand points could be a bit difficult. We wonder if the board or the CFA would consider for these show seasons for ID outside China in Asia, if the GP, the grand points could be double counted so that any grand point score in this show season is ×2 to encourage more participants to show.
So Matthew, that would take a board action item to approve, but the board seems to have frowned on that in the past.
Yeah.
It's certainly worth bringing back up again. Melanie Morgan?
Matthew, could you put together some numbers for us to look at with the proposal?
Yeah, sure. I could do that. Yeah. Yeah, I think if
Just for the
you
number
guys
of
can-
shows that we normally have.
Okay, I can do that. Thanks.
And what's projected, et cetera.
Okay.
Rich, you're recognized.
Thank you. Hi, Matthew. Has Hong Kong had any shows yet this year?
No, we're about to have 3 in the next sort of 2 months. But we think most likely they are like 30 something, 40, maybe hopefully 50 cats. But we think if people know that, okay, it's still possible to grant some cats, then we can get more participants.
So when do you think your first show would be?
26th, next Saturday we have our first show.
Okay, next weekend.
Yeah, there's already 3 licensed, the 1 in June and 2 in July.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Rich?
If Matthew can provide the numbers that Melanie's requesting, maybe the board will take this up on Sunday and discuss it. If it's a possibility for the board, we may want to do it before they have the first show.
Okay, I'll put some numbers. Yeah, I'll put some numbers together. I mean, now it's 3 a.m. here, so when I get up, I'll put some numbers together and send it through, and hopefully it will be ready. You have something before your board meeting on Sunday.
Great. And I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. I'm just trying to help move this along for the board to consider.
Pam Delaware,
yes,
recognized.
Thank you, Daryl. Just for basic information, as of the 21st of June, the European Union will be considering an agreement of reciprocity with China, Hong Kong, and Macau, just for info. And that's for traveling back and forth.
Okay, all right. Howard, were you trying to raise I saw you put your hand up. Were you wanting to speak? No? Okay. All right, any other questions? Okay, Matt, if you can get those numbers together after you get a nap in, then you can send Rich, you're up. You're muted. Rich.
Yeah. Matthew, do you have any other needs?
Well, the other need Bob mentioned is since we only have 3 judges sort of living in Hong Kong, you can imagine. I mean, it's difficult to have repeating judges to attract a diversified crowd. So it's more for longer term. Is if there is a T3 associate judge, definitely we would like Hong Kong participants be included. We understand last time in T2 it was considered but decided not to. But hopefully now that in Hong Kong, I think we can have more shows, but if it's the same, always just 2-3 judges, it's hard to draw a bigger crowd, and that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Yep,
Thank
Matt, I have talked to Ann, and if we can put together a T3 team, they're gonna try to open it up for anybody. So that would, now we've updated the application for the associate program. Ann sent me the application and I made it a fillable PDF. So it's easy just to bring it up and type it in and submit it back to Ann. But right now they have started with the T2 team, and I know that she has sent out the request for application distribution to all those in China that we initially took and then rescinded. So those applications will be submitted to Ann, and hopefully she's going to be able to pull together something so we can have that done for the August board meeting. So we understand that there's a need, and so we want to address that need. It just takes several months in order to get through one training process. But you know, Bob's one of the coaches this time, and I think they're like halfway read presentations. Is that correct, Bob? That's the information. Russell, you're on there too. So
Yeah, we've got some on the 3rd and maybe the 4th of July, but I think then we're done with the reads.
you're done with it.
Then we'll start doing the videos and we're working on the handling.
Okay, all right, fantastic. So it seems to be progressing very well. You know, the first time that they went through, you know, this, it had never been done before. So we're basically, you know, getting everything nailed down. So what we need to get accomplished. Pam Delamar, you're recognized.
Thank you. Matthew, would you consider, instead of us coming up with setting an entirely new precedent, could you possibly consider to going back to 75 points for a grand champion and 25 for a grand premier? And mind you, I'm speaking from a place where we have one judge in Finland, one judge in Germany, 2 in Russia, and 2 in Belgium. So we're not sitting here with a plethora of judges being able to have shows either, but somehow we could also allow, and I know there are some judges from other associations, and not the one that is he who shall not be named, but we could look at the possibility of allowing the same guest judge policy that we have for Region 9 to allow it in the rest of the ID as well. And that's to allow 50% guest judges. But back to the original, my original statement, would you consider going back to 75 points for grand champion and 25 for grand premier?
Go ahead.
Yes, I did consider, because you're right, Pam. Either we double count or we go back to a lower GP standard for this show season. That's why I want to bring it up to see what feedback I get from this forum first. I'm happy to put something together and discuss with the organizer in Hong Kong and go back within 12 hours whether we go for proposal that we double count the score, which I know is difficult because it sounds unfair to others. As you said, others also having difficulties having show. Alternatively, for Hong Kong for this show season, as you mentioned, we go back to the lower GP points needed.
Okay, Kenny Curley, you're recognized.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that Mr. Kalmeyer is in the building.
Yep, I saw him. I see the iceberg behind him.
Yeah,
Welcome, Dick.
Thank you. I'm sure the temperature's hot as Phoenix and Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, I'm actually at central office right now, so
Oh,
yep. So it's
yeah, I
not,
think
the temperature's nice here. It's sort of overcast and rainy today.
we're only 117,
Well, it was
49.
It was 118 yesterday in Tucson when I went up for some doctor's appointments with Pat.
Well, I have a good friend who lives in Las Vegas, and she's kept me updated on what the temperatures are there. So, Russell, did you want to talk to Dick about the stats and stuff since he's on
Yes.
now?
I asked him to present a little presentation to the board on the stats.
Okay.
Okay, Dick.
Okay. Eileen, did you want to put those up?
I will do that right now.
Yep, she's going to put them up right now.
Let's hope everybody can, does everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a banner year. In fact, not all, it says May to November. That's actually last fiscal year completely. But if you look at it, non-North America registrations are 80% of CFA last year, with the ID about 80%. What's remarkable is if we look at May, actually January to May, every region except China showed growth, and especially the Asia East, Asia West were in the high double digits. North America, every region, 1 through 7, showed an improvement over 2019. And in fact, it was even more remarkable. It was the highest growth since about 2017. So not only did we recover from COVID, North America came back about a 5-year growth. So you see where the growth is. China is still the heavyweight, with Asia East following close. In Asia East, in fact, there were more registrations from Indonesia than any of the particular regions 1 through 7. So the ID is really growing. Next chart. Okay, one of the nice things too about the last fiscal year is for some reason we saw a lot of growth in new cities. Now, part of it might be COVID, maybe people are moving to the bushes, but you can kind of see not only the US and Europe, which showed banner growth, but the ID cities, we saw a lot of new cities we didn't see before. If you look at Indonesia, there were 58 new cities. We had cities, Palestine, Pakistan, all over the place. So it's kind of nice to see growth coming. And Pam, certainly in Europe too, that we're seeing growth at new places. Next chart. Okay, one of the things in China that we're seeing definitely a decrease in growth, and the big part is the market in ragdoll is really changing. That's a green, the green pillars there. I guess the market for ragdolls in China is just decreasing. We've seen sporadic growth for non-ragdolls coming. That's the yellow, and the purple is kind of the overall. But that's kind of what's kind of weighing us down now. We're starting to see a growth in actually Devon Rex of all places are starting to grow in China, but it's definitely ragdolls that are doing it. Go down one chart. And if we look at it, this is the ragdoll growth over time. And the red line is kind of see where the trends are, but you can kind of see that there was a peak about 2019, but the interest in registering ragdolls is definitely decreasing. The nice thing is we're starting to see kind of the growth in the non-ragdoll areas, besides the Devon Rex and Maine Coons are coming back, American short hair, and exotics. Go down. Kind of getting the handle on this, I looked at the clubs that we have in different areas. The bottom part is Asia West, but the number of clubs we have, and I looked at, first of all, that first clubs per 100 registrations was for the past 5 years in registration. And the right-hand column shows the last physical year. North America had about 378 clubs, but we had an average over, if we look at divided by the 5-year registration numbers, about 0.6 per 100 registrations, about 3.6 per 100 registrations. China, you see, we have 48 clubs, but certainly fewer clubs per registration. You can kind of see where the clubs are for the different geos. Philippines, we actually have quite a bit of growth in registrations, but we don't have any existing clubs. But you get kind of an idea of where we're sitting in the area. Like I said, Asia East is probably growing about 40%. Asia West is slightly less than that, probably about 35% growth in registrations. So that's a quick run through on the statistics. By the way, I have this for Pam in Europe too, by country. So you'll be able to get that as well as I'm in the process of breaking it out by state to get an idea of kind of the distribution. Any questions?
Pam Dilbar, you're recognized.
Daryl, I'm sorry, I didn't get my hand lowered the last time, but I would like to thank Dick for his hard work on these stats. And I do have a comment a little later, not concerning the statistics, but back on what I was talking about previously.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dick. Great job.
So Dick, I've got a quick question for you. When we were addressing new clubs the other day, I think it was Pam who had brought up, you know, how many clubs, I guess specifically, what's the congestion in certain areas for certain clubs? And it was, since all the clubs were China, we were trying to you know, localized between East China, North China, West China. And I had, during the meeting, I had sent, I don't know if you saw the map that Scott Hudson put up on his website. I call it the red dot map of where shows were held last year. And I asked him if he would mind doing that for our clubs. Well, I asked him first for China, then I asked him if he could do it for all of our clubs. And so it's going to be a big process, but he's going to need, you know, a club membership list, obviously, to figure out where these clubs are located. Is there any assistance that you might be able to help Scott with?
Sure. And in fact, I already started that. I kind of cleaned up the club list because the cities weren't very good.
Okay.
I allocated to the China areas. In fact, before Russell interrupted me and I scrambled with these charts, I have a spreadsheet where I broke it out, first of all, by the Chinese province and administrative areas.
Okay.
Both on where the clubs were, where the registrations are, and so we can overlay that as well. I also threw in the population and density, and so we'll have numbers that we can probably start turning. It's probably 2 or 3, maybe a week away, though.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. It's, you know, I mean, you know, 2 or 3 months, if you could produce something Because these visual charts and stuff are so informative. And, if we can have, like a concentration of, like red dots or whatever you want to use to delineate where these clubs are located, it would help the board, I think, make decisions on, okay, do we have enough clubs in this area, and should maybe we, lighten up a little bit on acceptance of clubs from a certain area. But I know some of these cities are just humongous. I think Chongqing is probably still the largest city in China. And I know one time Beth Higuchi, it took her 2 hours by train. She lived in Tokyo, but it was 2 hours by train in order to get home. So the expanse of some of these cities is pretty great. And so anyway, yeah, I think it would help. Carol Kusnowski, you're recognized.
Yes, I just want to mention that Dick and I have been corresponding since the board meeting on Thursday about the data, and I know that he's working on some things. I asked him to please work on the number of clubs in certain cities or provinces, and he's working on that. And I asked him if he could please have that in time for the August board meeting, as we do have already 2 clubs that are ready to be presented at that meeting, one from China and one from Indonesia. So it would be helpful to have that. And he said he could certainly do that by that date.
Yeah. Okay.
And Daryl?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm also overlaying it with the registrations per area.
Okay.
And in fact, for the past 5 years, I have I cleaned up the U.S. and Canada database, so we have it by postal code as well. And
Okay.
we can overlay it pretty good. We could actually tell you how far, how many registrations per a particular distance from a club location.
Yeah. Well, Dick, I want to thank you for all the work you've been doing. This is very, very helpful. All the statistical analysis that you do, for the board, and it's very valuable information. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate what you've done in this regard.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Anybody else have questions for Dick or the committee?
Hey, Daryl. Hey,
Yes.
I was happy to hear both Carol and Dick talk that they're doing it by province and areas rather than just a big city. Because when I was listening to the board discussing all the clubs in China, when you just say, hey, we got 47 clubs in Shanghai, that means nothing.
Yes.
But when you start breaking it out by those different areas, that'll really give us great information. And I know Dick can put that together.
Yes. Yep. That's great. So, the problem, we have states here, they have provinces, they have administrative areas, and then big cities. And so it's a different structure than what we normally are used to. Yeah. Rich Masson, you're recognized.
Yeah, can I go back to Dick? Thank you for the presentation, by the way. Great job. Can I go back to Pam's suggestion on the guest judges? I didn't get all the information on there, and I'd like to ask Pam how many other associations are in the area that could potentially help.
Pam, go ahead.
I need to check, but I think right now we're looking at WCF and FIFA. But I need to double check that to see if we do have guest judges. We have, I know, long hair guest judges that are for Persians down in Indonesia and Malaysia. But I need to double check that with my local source here to make sure. And I will look that up, because I know some of those, Hong Kong is considered to be part of China as far as FIFA goes. So let me double check that, and I can get that information to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Daryl, could I add one other thing above and beyond the guest judges?
Yeah, I was going to call on you because your hand was above Rich's, and I just mistakenly called
And
on
so
him before you.
I defer to Rich most times anyway.
Well, most of us. So
Yeah, most of us do. when I was bringing up the 75-25 on the grand points for Hong Kong, I think we need to consider that for most of the ID outside of China. China is having the shows,
Yep.
but we need to consider for Indonesia and the rest of the ID, including even though Israel can now come to Finland and vice versa. The ID is other areas are going to be hurting for shows and to get those entries in. But we also need to look at how long we're going to do that and to what level. I mean, if these shows are starting to get 100 cats or plus, then maybe we need to draw that and make it only for a certain period of time. But I wanted to include the rest of the ID in that as well.
Okay, that's a good point, Pam, and something we can talk about tomorrow. We'll plug it in on Rachel's busy. She's been trying to get the agenda thing updated for tomorrow, so. Okay, Rich, your hand's up.
Yeah, Daryl, can we get some feedback from Bob, Matthew, maybe Ava and Russell and Kenny on Pam's recent suggestion? Are they supportive of that since they're on the call?
You mean lower the points for GP for this show season?
For the entire
GC
ID.
and
for
GP.
China.
Yes, sorry. Yes, I think that is in fact more feasible. I think Daryl pointed out a very good point that in general, asking for double counting grand points and system-wise is a bit more complicated. Maybe I'll convince my peers here and just go with what Pam suggests to lower the GP and GC points for this show season. I agree.
Bob?
And I agree, it'd be great for the rest of the ID except China.
Russell?
I agree with Pam.
Okay.
We should
Kenny?
lower it.
Yeah, Kenny?
Let's make it unanimous.
All right, okay. All right. So Pam, you want to take the lead on that tomorrow?
Excuse me, coming back on the guest,
I guess
Yes, Judge.
Kenny should, since he's the,
since he's the liaison.
Yeah, he's
and
the
I will get the information on possible guest judges for Hong Kong.
okay, then you can share that with Kenny and Kenny, you can pull
We'll
that
come up with
together.
a motion.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, any other comments or questions? Again, I apologize to Matt and to Sandra. She's on. Eva. Jason, I think, was on for a little while for the late hour in your home country. Also, Hayata-san, I'm sure it's early for you too. So, and Dick, thank you for coming on and sharing that valuable information with us. It's very, very good info and really helps us. So. Any other comments or anything?
I just, Daryl, if I can just close it out.
Sure.
Again, the International Division thanks the CFA Board for their support. We also would like to publicly thank those on the ground. We have our named delegates and representatives, but there are so many others, just like here in the United States, that make CFA work.
Yeah.
And they're volunteers, they're selfless, they do the job, they bring credit to the association. And it makes me very proud to be part of the association because of that. So thank you very much to the board for the support that you've shown the International Division. Again, I apologize for the inexperience of some, but they're learning the ropes. But I think the outcome and getting through this past year, and particularly with the numbers that Mr. Kalmeyer has brought with us, said that we must be on the right track. So again, I thank you for your support.
Great, thank you, Russell. Any closing comments?
No, I just want to thank Gavin and Eva and the board for supporting China. I think Gavin and Eva has done a great job. They've helped me a lot. They're moving China forward. So a big thank you to them, and also to the board for putting up with us.
Yeah, Gavin's told me that they're working on some new NGO approvals that
Yes.
that are going to be very, very nice when they finally get approved. Bob,
Yeah.
you have any closing comments to make before we adjourn?
No, just reiterating what Kenny said. It's great that the board listens and they start to take action on things that we bring up. Thank you all.
Okay, Matt?
Thanks, everyone. I mean, it's been a difficult year, and hopefully we can put on shows this season. Thank you.
Good deal. Okay. Eva?
Daryl?
Yep. I was going to let Eva comment. Okay, I guess she has no comment. Go ahead, Pam.
I noticed, well, we're way ahead of time. We have some others that are on this Zoom participation from the ID. Can we let any of them speak?
Yep, absolutely. Sandra, I see you're on. Would you like to make some comments? Sandra, your microphone's muted. Let's see.
Is that better?
There you go.
We
We
can
can
Oh,
hear
there we
you.
go. Sorry, never actually used this on my iPhone before.
Okay.
Well, it's been really interesting to join you all and be able to listen in from afar. And it's been a very quiet year for everyone here in AW. You know, with COVID, we're hoping things might start to look up again next year. But we just have to ride it out like everyone else. And, you know, thanks, as Ken said, thanks for all the support to ID. A little bit disappointed about the vote yesterday, but I didn't really expect it to go our way. But we'll try again, maybe
Yep.
next year. Yeah,
Yep.
we'll try again.
Okay. How's the vaccinations going in your part of the world?
Oh, we pretty good. I just got my second myself last week.
Okay, good.
And yeah. And they're talking about opening up visas again for people to visit Kuwait again.
Okay.
We say it really all kind of depends how the Delta virus, which is taken off in Kuwait, how we get it under control.
Yeah. The last I saw, it's the Delta virus is mutant is making up about 10% of the infections here in the United States. But, you know, as viruses go, they replicate and go up. So anything else, Sandra?
No, like I said, it's been a quiet year here in Kuwait in particular. You know, we're all just taking stock of the situation. But hopefully things will look up for all of us. And we'd really like to see you all back in Kuwait soon.
Yeah. Well, you have a beautiful country.
Sandra.
Thank you.
Sandra, give our best to your club. Thank you very much.
I will do. I will do. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. And Eva's handset is broken. I don't know if you guys saw her chat, but if you didn't, you can go in and read her chat. She was thanking everyone. Is there anyone else on the call from the ID? I don't want to overlook anyone. Jason was on earlier, but I don't see him on now. So, no, okay. Okay, Kenny, anything else?
That'll do it. Thank you very much.